We're wrapping up a week with the 5th generation Toyota Avalon. This is the Avalon Hybrid. Comes in 3 trim levels. The base XLE, then the XSE, which will give you paddle shifters and a sportier suspension, followed by the Limited we're driving today, which is the top of the line. Pricing starts at around $35,000, loaded out about $43,000. The gasoline version is a little over 300 horsepower, 301, whereas this one gets 215, but you also have the electric motors. And you would think that being a newer version of the hybrid, because there was an Avalon Hybrid last go around, the 4th generation, this one's actually about 0.4 of a second slower. Still decent, just under 8 seconds. 67.8 is what is published. We came pretty close to that. So a little bit of a head scratcher why they got a little slower, but most people don't buy hybrids to break 0 to 60 records. They buy them because they want to extend the time between fill-ups. If you want to avoid fill-ups, that's a plug-in hybrid or all-electric. But if you want to extend the time between fill-ups, and you can depending on how you drive. This is rated at 44 combined, and with hybrids actually get better fuel economy in the city than on the highway. And we've been getting about 41. We've been driving it probably a little more spirited, a little faster than you might drive it, but nevertheless, it's still very respectable fuel economy. Extremely comfortable car. It's built on the same architecture as the Camry, but the wheelbase and overall length a couple of inches longer. So it's a Camry, but it's bigger and much more luxurious inside and out. And they've really gone aggressive with the exterior. I don't know who's designing grills for Toyota and Lexus, but whoever it is, they just need to stop. They're making these grills bigger and bigger and bigger, and this one's no exception. It's a huge grill, and as you know, anything that's hybrid is going to have some blue in it, and the Toyota logo has some of that as well. Overall, we're very impressed. So let's talk a little bit about styling. Styling, I think it's the most stylish, sportiest Avalon ever. Either they're getting better or I'm getting older or both. But it's actually not a bad sedan. If you had to buy a sedan as your daily commuter, it's extremely comfortable. This is as close as you can get to a Lexus without the Lexus price tag. Very comfortable seating. You have a really large, vivid 10-inch head-up display, 9-inch infotainment, 7-inch multi-information display. I mean, we're talking about a lot of digital real estate in this vehicle, and that's impressed us. So the fuel economy's impressed us. The overall styling, you have the sharpest angle C-pillar in any Toyota product ever. So they're really getting angular and edgy and contemporary with their design. Electronics, they finally have Apple CarPlay, hooray. You have an adaptive suspension, which is something you would not find in previous Avalon models, and just overall very contemporary looking, which are not words I would use to describe past or the first 4 generations of Avalons. They've really been kind of the AARP poster car, and that's who buys these. A lot of older people buy Avalons, but Avalon recognized when an old person buys a car, well, they keep it for 10, 12 years and then hand it down, and that's not how they're going to keep the doors open. Keep the doors open by getting people to buy cars every 3, 4, 5 years, and that's what they're hoping, is to get younger buyers into this Avalon, and I think they're going to succeed. Again, if they continue with this styling direction, kudos to them. You've got a lot of really neat features, just very good attention to detail and very high touch materials. You know, you get in, you turn the knobs, you touch the buttons, and it just feels like a premium vehicle, even like a luxury vehicle. I like what they've done here with the steering wheel, the controls. They finally got rid of the cruise control stock, which has been a staple of Toyota product for decades, and now they've integrated everything into the steering wheel, nice and flush mounted. Sometimes I get in vehicles like Infinitis, Nissans, and the buttons really protrude. Some people like that. I don't like that because you can turn and then accidentally hit the button. These are nicely recessed, so very well thought out buttons. Nice display. Still have traditional gauges if you don't really have a tack, but if you want to call that a traditional gauge. And of course, you've got your different modes, and so we'll go into sport mode here, and you get a little more acceleration, and the fake shifts are a little bit better. But overall, very impressed. There's a 1200 watt optional JBL sound system. Who would have ever thought that? But maybe if they are going for the younger buyers, this will attract them. If they still get some of the older buyers, well, they'll be able to hear the music. Oh, save your emails. But I'm impressed. I like what they've done. I think this is, Toyota has really held on to this market while others have abandoned it. This full-size, non-luxury, just traditional sedan type market. It just seems like a lot of the competition is starting to fade away. There used to be the Hyundai Azera, that's gone, and just one by one, it just seems like the Impala is going to be discontinued, the Taurus discontinued. So a lot of these larger sedans, they're gone, and so what's left? I mean, you have the Maxima, but Maxima is okay. They've really lost sight of who they are. At least Avalon has always kind of maintained their identity, and I think it's really paid off for them. Nissan has kind of become this, low cost, and you can really feel it in the materials. They've really cheapened their product, and I don't like that. Toyota has not done that. I think they've vanillaized their product to some extent, and that's just, again, a sign of the times, being managed by accountants and lawyers. That's what you do, but it works. What they've done is basically take the Camry platform and say, well, we need something a little bit bigger. And again, very successful. You have ventilated seats. Something new this year is one-touch up-down buttons for all four windows. May not be a big deal to you, but when you look at the segment, that's a nice little feature. There are other little features mentioned. The Apple CarPlay, still no Android Auto. I guess they have to work out that licensing with Google, but overall pretty good. Take a look at my notes here. You have 5 USB outlets. I like that, but not a single USB-C. Like to see that. You have 5 USB outlets, which is good, but none of them are USB-C. You have all new LED lighting. The lighting is really impressive, and I don't usually talk about lighting. I don't just mean how powerful and the lumens and all that. I'm just saying that little dance it does when you use your turn signal or turn the car on or off. It's very Audi-esque. So again, they're taking little cues from these premium brands and bringing it into a non-luxury model, and that's impressive. I like the fact that the steering wheel is electronic, so infinite adjustments, both telescopic and tilt. So very nice features in this car. So how much would one of these really cost you? That's a great question, because I'm actually helping someone buy a Camry, which is very similar. And you can easily, on a sedan today, especially a high volume sedan like this one in the Camry, negotiate as follows. So when you see the MSRP on this vehicle, let's call it $44,000 MSRP. you can figure 8 to 10% off of that is invoice. So this one is probably close to about 42,000 invoice. And then I called 3 dealers and they all agreed to sell me the vehicle at $2,500 below invoice. So take a $44,000 vehicle, subtract the cost to get to invoice, 8 to 10%, and then another $2,500. So they get this vehicle for $39,500, and there might even be some additional incentives. That is not out of the question. That is a very realistic number that you can get today. So don't go paying full price. Don't even agree to invoice. If you think you're paying invoice and getting a good deal, you're not. Now, can you get that on a RAV4? Probably not, because crossovers, SUVs, trucks, all the light truck market still very strong, and that's really what everybody wants. But when it comes to the sedan market, it's very soft, and that's why a lot of the other brands are, Ford, Chevy, are really getting away from that and focusing on light trucks. But Toyota and Honda, Hyundai, the rest of them, they're sticking with it, and why not? I think Toyota's in a very interesting spot right now. They have a wide range of pricing on their product. They got rid of Scion, so they have some inexpensive vehicles around $14,000, $15,000 entry-level Yaris, all the way up to $85,000 on a Land Cruiser. That's a broad range. That's probably the one of the broadest ranges for a manufacturer when you think about your entry-level vehicle, and that you could go pretty much almost 6 times that to get to your top-of-the-line vehicle. Not many other brands can do that. But Toyota's kind of managed to play it, and of course they got Lexus to push you into. I mean, this is really an ES, a Lexus ES, maybe I'd say 9/10 of an ES, but probably more like 8/10 the price. So that's how I compare the two. You don't get the warranty, you don't get the special velvet glove treatment you get at a Lexus dealer, but those things aren't important to you, and it's really about the powertrain. This is the same powertrain you'll find in an ES300H hybrid, then why not? And I got to tell you, it's really hard to find a lot to complain about. They've done all the things that I wasn't impressed about with the outgoing model, they've addressed. Would like to see the styling be a little more contemporary, a little more refined, a little more sophisticated. But again, they've got something going on with their grills that, and that's across the lineup that I just can't figure out, and a lot of us can't figure out. But easy recommendation. Just little touches. Look at the door panels. You see this quilted stitching. You see that in the seats as well. These aren't things you used to find in Avalons. Avalons were just basic, 4-door sedan transportation, and not this. And I think that's a real credit to the folks at Toyota. So anyway, you wanted longer reviews. There's a longer review. I gave you pretty much all the information. Plenty of backroom seats, plenty of trunk space. Even though it's a hybrid, you don't lose that much. Toyota's gotten great with their packaging as far as not losing a lot of space when they do make a vehicle a hybrid, and that's important because in the past you put this battery pack and it would take up half the trunk. Not anymore. The trunk is plenty roomy, and that's a good thing, because you don't have to make a compromise just because you're buying a hybrid. We just passed a state trooper sitting on the side of the road, so I'm not going to take any chances here. Well, we covered a lot of things. We covered the drive modes. We didn't cover safety, but this vehicle is loaded with the Toyota Safety Sense, all the blind spot monitoring, automatic emergency braking, everything you would expect in a vehicle of this caliber. So there really is is not a lot of compromise. This is as close to a luxury sedan as you can get without paying luxury car prices. I'm Ron Doran. Thanks for watching. See you next time on The Driver's Seat.